Если говорить о проектах, то на сегодняшний день мы реализуем.
For the time being, we fulfill the projects according to the four-lateral agreement signed by all overall companies and the government, oil companies I mean. These are installations, and about 15 billion rubles we spend on realization of this program. Overall, our program of modernization, I mean here only new installations, new units, without reconstruction and redesign, is about 80 billion rubles within 3-5 nearest years. These all projects are at different level, and that does not mean that all of them are approved and realized. Some of them are in the process, some of them are at the initial stage. When speaking about the experience and what used to be the trigger to implement the project management in our company, we analyzed all current process existing, all projects, where they are. And what we face now, we have, as most of the other companies, we have the risks already fulfilled or delayed realization of projects due to extension of budgets and monetary funds. And we made a decision to implement, to be able to implement other approaches, project management, and we started both Russian and domestic and foreign companies approaches, and on the existing projects we managed to undertake first steps. This notwithstanding, there is a lot of work to be done, which has to improve project management approach in Bashneft company. This process has been focusing on the investment projects improvement, to create the investment model, to eliminate some constraints, and this is the slide showing the possibility of influencing costs. This is the chart. In different literature, in mass media, you can find it very often of engineering companies, namely realizing major projects. And due to this chart, due to this approach, and having analyzed it deeply, we came to the conclusion that success or failure lies on the left part of this chart, where this is the minimum money spent, but maximum value is being laid here as the fundamental one. The more time we spend, the more qualitatively we work, the more successful we are. That's why we made all our efforts to, as I several times told already, the Russian says you measure 7 times and you cut only once. This is the idiomatic expression which means that this approach has been known before us long ago. This approach also defines the volume of scope of operations, also project management and realization, and we should stick to this plan at all stages of the project. The red arrow shows 3 different parts, international practices. This is the green field, the field, the preliminary design of the project, and special attention should be given here. The main part of this preliminary field is the detailed design of the project, to see the targets put before the customer. Output data is the basis, the baseline for the working projecting and design. For the further realization, maximum prognosing of results also is being taken into account. It allows to minimize failures, to minimize disappointments at the stage of execution or EPC. EPC, we mean not contracting EPC, but fulfillment, commitment of the project, execution stage, so to say, and further operation. It means that our expectations should meet our just initial fundamental statements. It enables us to reach the maximum value of our assets, which we are going to modernize and develop.
Как я уже говорил, что на этой стадии мы
As I told already, at this stage we work as a team, as an effective one, concentrate, focusing on design, strategies of selection of suppliers, manufacturers, equipment manufacturers. We also work out all technical requirements we develop and choose the best variants. And also make detailed risk analysis and make everyone set up the responsible, and periodically get involved into management. We work with the risk not only when to prevent it to happen. We actively work to eliminate such risks further. And consequently, we should be weaponed enough, just be facing such risks, possibilities, and challenges we can have. At this stage, we also work over the detailed concept. We also define the scope of works, make plan schedule of different stages, just depending on stage to stage, and we try to stick to it, and our contractors and equipment suppliers and designers and executors are involved in the same process, and we create and fulfill this charge with some resources and make some prognosis on what we need. Maybe we can need in a month, in some time. We also define obligations, the commitments of the customer. A very important issue is the regulation modification. Having done all that on the preliminary work, we have tried to make frozen some stages, because improvement it is never enough you can't have enough improvements, and it means that budgeting and monetary funds, all these issues, it all gives us an idea that it cannot be regulated. Then we regulate it manually, which is not our principle, our approach. When we speak of criteria of success, we mean to say that 80% of success depends on the system, on the structure, and 20% depends on the action plan and team possibilities, and if it is vice versa, and very often it is vice versa, and we try to eliminate the situation, then it means that this project is badly regulated and managed, and this is not a priority for us. As I told you before, a lot of companies use different abbreviation in defining the title of the stages, and we define here classifications of IPA. Company IPA, different types of companies, different type of companies. Bashneft for Bashneft stages are TEO. This is technology choice, design. Fit stage, what we is called very often, and fulfillment, realization, when working detailed design has been done, and consequently after realization, detailed design and purchasing of equipment and raw materials and construction parts, we make the object for commissioning and putting into operation. and we monitor if this is a commercial project. Then we monitor if this project meets our expectations or not, which we expected at level 1 when we launched into project. And for each stage, some measures and roles and responsibilities are being divided among the participants of the project. Different approaches are used, rapid or assay, different approaches again, who is informed of what, who fulfills, who commits, who is responsible, who is in charge, just steps and under steps. For five steps, we have had 39. For 5 stages, sorry, we have had 39 steps. It means that procedure has been created and system has been created, and all limits of commitment are being defined. It enables the team to work smoothly for all interested parts, from the customer up to the end user, and to see the whole roadmap and to see who and where and what is responsible for. There are no areas without commitment, without charge of someone. And we finalized this document and called this document maintenance or guidelines to manage major projects. And we stick to this document, and this is our managing document. A very important issue is at all stages assessment, project assessment, project budget assessment. There is an opinion that budget has been increased, but we made a decision and decided to call it, this is a corridor, a range of precision. If we mean here the range of precision, it means that the budget has been precise and this is managed and regulated, and then no mess and no panic can take place, either from officials or from shareholders or whose assets we manage. We use international system or assessment project system and budget project system, either at our expenses or by trained staff, specially trained, or we attract other companies having a more richer experience to prove our position and supposition and suggestions and assessments from moving from stage to stage, to be more sure that we undertook all plans and actions that we are ready to realize the further step of the project. And then we use, I already told, the standard approach, and this is about association of estimation costs approach. I mean here to say ACE, and this is the approach. It shows the precision in between the classes of this methodology. Today, the tense in terms of the stage 5 and stage 1, when budget has been increased, but original assessments were to precision just at the time, at the moment of fit, and to turnkey project stage. Well, it means that we are comfortable if we have defined the range of precision, and we move in this range of precision. What are main challenges of preliminary project operation? Which questions we have to we have to eliminate. First, the business target or production necessity of this or that project, of this or that bulk of tasks, is elimination of remarks having a relation to some open issues, open topics. a minimum amount of uncertainties. That's what we expect to have, starting from the initial stage of design. And if we modify very often, then we'll lose time, we'll lose money, we'll lose all preliminary just remarks. It means that limits must be frozen. And we made it a practice that project modifications can be implemented only in 2 cases. Suppose the expertise has we found out that this project is environmentally not friendly for people who will operate in this project, or this project appeared to not to work according to SOP. It happens very seldom because it all has it's being organized and checked, and after the completion of the base project and feed, to get such two remarks and possibilities. This possibility is very, very low. And there are no other cases. We came to an agreement that any improvement, any supposition, any proposal cannot be accepted, because in a year of operation, 100 of improvements, of proposals, of business proposals. Suppose we implement some of them, it means that the spring is getting tighter, and this directive term of the project, contracting spring, is vulnerable, and then we cannot be a success. And this is our guideline. Also, some private solutions can be imposed, but we never follow such private solutions. We discuss it all with the institutes, with the licenses, and then limits are being frozen. As I told you before, the potential, organizational potential here, we aims at qualification, team formation. We define the necessary human resources to realize each stage and to announce when and how many people should appear. Each stage of the project accounts for the special professionals which should appear. Suppose this is the realization of the project stage, or commitment to assembling, or we also use the approach not at the expense of our just resources, but also this is not a constant process, but this is a process with its end point, and then we attract some companies, and on completion of the project, on completion of the project, people leave and no more contractual obligations. Such companies help assist us with HAZOP, with checking, monitoring, forwarding of equipment and manufacturing in different parts of Russia and of the world, and consequently the staff of inspectors and the experts. Well, this is not our headache to pay them their leave or their operations. We hire them when we need them, then we eliminate costs and also economize to improve quality, both domestic and foreign branches included, which does not differ greatly from our companies. We also attract allude to some construction control to restrict HR. We also created our own constructors And also there are some construction experts which go to sites, which monitor, control, assembling operations, labor safety issues in terms of quality issues, material quality, instruments and tools. And also we monitor commissioning. Here some commissioning organizations assist us at the intermediate stage in between the construction and assembling, and cover in such way all wide scope of issues, which is rather wide at this moment in terms of commissioning.
Ну, я уже затронул, наверное, сегодня, что какое влияние.
I also told today how much influence in organizational structure of the project and what actual costs they attend, and it all depends on the scale of the project. It all depends, also influences, the qualification of resources, and if it is innovative enough or technically complicated, the bigger the structure is, the more attention we pay to communication, both vertical and longitudinal, so to say, just positioning of the project, and services, how to what extent they are successful or not. A lot of interested officials, everyone has different aims, targets, but some control, some execute, some commit, and that's not easy to combine all these targets together. Suppose different countries, specialist work, mentality difference is big enough, and special attention should be given. But this is a known approach, but we think of it when we invite some advisors, supervisors, technical specialists, and licensees or assembler operators, and we have experience enough. At the stage of planning the project, we pay special attention, and it's not a surprise for us anymore. When people have some understanding problems, comprehensional problems.
Тоже, наверное, стоит об этом сказать, поскольку проектное управление.
Also about qualification, is our project management in our oil sector is a young one. This is a young institution of knowledge, then we are deficient. We are deficient in terms of HR. We also try to find external workers and develop competences inside the company. We work with training companies, seminars, training, both just in projects in general, and on narrow fields of activities, operation activities, because there is an opinion that we can live without trainings, without that. But is it possible to realize a project without using any project management? But companies are more successful if they use the project management. That's what the benchmarking says. That's what the world statistics says. Project approach is a more successful approach to realize complicated big projects. But of course, project management approach, we use only for major projects from $50 million or 1.5 billion rubles, just less than 50 million, less than projects which cost less than $50 million. Is not a big one and not a major one. It's important to define the project limits and expectations of the original assessment. These schedules are very important, and every now and then we clarify them. We get to know more detailed contracting documentation with contractors. Such information is being clarified. And as I told you before, non-full volume of scope of works. Well, what it is threatening? It is threatening because of the wrong assessment of the plan schedule and it means that on the whole further on we cannot realize some targets.
The
final stage of realization of any projects is the construction, assembling, erection works. Here we have to make an assessment on at the initial stages how many resources, construction resources we will need as soon as we move to that. And it seems that there are a lot of construction companies, contractors, but actually what the experience says, when there is their mobilization point, they start to be busy, they start to occupy some other sites and participate in other projects. Then we have some toughs and troubles, and when we are lacking them, when we need them especially. It also results into the delay of supplies, and at the moment when the resource is ready, we are lacking some equipment which should be assembled either, or there is no project documentation. Then this is our weak point. But it can be managed, it can be regulated, but for that we need preliminary everyday participation in this process. When this is from time to time, then we fail, and as a post-fact situation, we face inefficient approaches. Also, people leave and go from one company to the other. They retire, and not a lot of young people and high specialist constructors. Well, this is the labor market is not reaching them, is lacking, I would say, and a lot of defects. The same is about welding, about design and assembling. Maybe without having done the audit of the constructors, having not done the assessment, and only hoping for the just relying on the name, on the renommee of the company, on the good faith of the company is not enough. What are factors of success? I told you as I started, first, this is tense cooperation and fruitful cooperation between the contractor and the supplier, customer and contractors, but that's not the Berlin wall, which should be between them, and reduction of costs. What is leadership? Leadership of the project manager. A project manager must be a qualified man, not only a person who has been working for the plant for many years. That's not enough as well. The person must be trained, must have experience in realizing projects, both theoretical and practical. And applying to such people, we can manage success in this ideas. It's not worth speaking about the support of the project approaches. There are a lot of factors which say, oh, we should not slow things down, we should start design, but maybe we should not start with design, but we should just select some suppliers, and maybe not to think of suppliers, but to start construction immediately. But it means that money is lost and time is lost, and then unpleasant negotiations and unpleasant discussion takes place. It means that we are we are taken back. Maybe I would not like to go into detail, but what I enumerated today, we started a year and a half ago in Bashneft. We started to implement such approaches, and for the time being, we see the first steps of success. For now, we work with both with domestic and foreign companies. We don't have any constraints if inside or outside. We are open for close cooperation, intense cooperation. We experience the other companies' results, and we do not impose some ideas on any designers, but before making a contract, but we study this all issues altogether carefully. We also invited for today the company IPE. This company has been present in the conferences. This is an independent company for project management. About in the database of such company, about 40,000 projects, and the range of volumic assessment of projects is very big. And cooperation with such company helps us again to assess the quality, to estimate the approach, especially at the intermediate stages, and we are careful not to meet surprises, and we check ourselves if we made right assessments. I would say this is an independent advisor. And also we work with them the issue of how far we are with the project approach, what are weak points, what are strong points, what areas should be developed and strengthened, and where we are a success. That would be all I wanted to tell you today. Thank you very much again for your attention, and I'm ready to answer your questions. You are welcome.
Скажите, пожалуйста, а кто основной партнер Башнефти в части проектирования? Какие иностранные?
Who is the main partner? What foreign company is the main partner of Bashneft in project management? We make a design with the Russian institutes, all institutes known to you, participating, and I would not like to dwell on. No, that's the name. Yeah, to dwell on anyone I don't want, but that's what I call a lot of them. I can enumerate all of them. There are also some design projects, structures. As for the foreign partners, these are base world leaders of design, Foster Wheeler, UIP Access, and some others. Maybe I forgot someone, but I did not want to take to offend. No engineering companies between them. Not such a strategic partner we don't have yet, because everyone is having his own standards and aims. One institute aims and focuses on one process. Some focus more on the other tendencies. Some are better, some are worse, but childish diseases are the same. And to catch a disease is possible both for a contractor and for a customer, and that's why preliminary operations, preliminary design, and preliminary working is the thing we should pay attention. Last conference we spoke much of contractors, and we blamed them for such process, but I think the customer also has something to say. Can companies, some oil companies, create their own design institutions? I'm not sure that this is the good way. That's not a good way that an oil company can create an institute. Oil company should focus on exploring on oil refinery, something like that. It can, what it can do, it can give a demand, but create institutes and apply some practices, let it be best practices. That's not the target. If or when the foreigners make a design, if they are restricted, limited to some equipment, well, that's very individual. Every now and then there are warranty cases, and only such equipment must be used, or they say they give it 3 or 5 vendors, they have audited, and after you, in case you apply one of them, you require finance guarantee and no rigid requirements, but still they make recommendations and advice. When design, well, it all depends on the contract strategy. If we say that please give us a chance to choose, then such possibility is given. If you may have a turnkey contract, then this is a turnkey case. I say that's always very individual. But I mean to say that foreigners, they have some limitations because they don't know the Russian realities. And they can offer you some producer from Houston instead of the Ural producer. I see no threatening factors here. That's not bad. If it goes alongside with the planned schedule, you decide it for yourself. That's not a risk where this producer is, if in Houston or in the Urals. For the time being, import parts are cheaper than the Russian domestic ones. If you gave them the turnkey project, you can't influence, or you should not dictate and impose. It all depends. Your dictation means that you share his responsibility and commitment of obligations with him.
Знакомился с их опытом реализации большого проекта, не в проекте.
I know just some experience with some foreign assets. It was a major project, and for some foreign asset, they said, "You please do use of the Russian manufacturers project." Well, they imposed such to his EPC contractor. That's all very individual, but foreign manufacturers of equipment do not differ somehow from in terms of time, in terms of just due to different factors. Foreign contractors also fail to be in time, and force majeure financial crisis and all these tough measures. For example, during this world crisis, the supplies let them down. They let us down.
Хотел уточнить, у вас прозвучало, что заказчик и подрядчик – это единая команда. Существует ли у вас...
Customer and contractor is a united team, you told it. If you have a database, an information database, unified for the customer and the contractor. I meant to say maybe we divided the operation activity and the project activity. And oil refinery and customer and contractor. Well, these are, we mean to say more of the internal division of responsibilities. There is a tool with the help of which we communicate with external contractors. Not long ago, we implemented Primavera, and we have some access available for our contractors, IFK institutes and so on. So remote control access of our contractors, they can modify something, they can suggest but authorize such modifications. This is the project manager who is in charge of.
Ставите ли вы сами, как заказчики, жестко условия подрядчику, даже на принципах?
If you impose some rigid conditions on the contractors, maybe in figures, that they should apply only domestic equipment produced in Russia. There are no turnkey projects for the time being, in just in our company, not yet. That's why if we don't have any turnkey projects yet, then we do not impose on the contractor that they should use only the Russian domestic product. But of course, we every now and ask what conditions are there. 50 labor input maybe of Russia. 50% of the Russian equipment should be used or applied. We discuss it. We are in the phase of negotiation. That's under negotiations. What about banks?
О проектном финансировании не ведем речь.
If we don't speak about the project financing, we studied this carefully, detailed.
Мировыми игроками в области инжиниринга, эти компании,
But practically with all world players and who participated in turnkey projects, as for the banks operating in Russia, VTB, Gazprombank, Sberbank and others,
у каждого условия разные. Где-то
everyone has different conditions.
этим
These are mostly Japanese, famous for by experience in KBP. That was the Yaroslavl plant and to engineering. They made a hydrocracking unit. I can say only positive favor things in favor of Japanese design organizations and Japanese designers and engineers. This was a very successful project, and they got rid of all childish diseases, I told you before. And management of plants their management, their model is very often used together with the institutes. Bashneft is a unique company because in the Republic you have processing facilities and equipment facilities and other facilities. And I doubt greatly that your government, the Republican government, do not dictate you any conditions. Since August, you know that not only in the Republic, but
вышли за пределы республики с добычей.
we are just beyond the limits of the Republic with the exploration of some new deposits. So,
Республики или любого государства отношения должны быть как налогоплательщика, а условия дальнейшие.
I mean here to say that there cannot be any conditions set by the government because we are privately organized company, and companies the only kind of relationship is the taxation and nothing else, because social and other questions, this is not the priority of our company. We don't have any special conditions. No one imposes any produces on us, any ideas on us. Naturally speaking, we assess that logistically it is better for us to deliver a column from somewhere from Russia than from Brno, from the Czech Republic. But also there are some unique things, and this TMZ, it operates for the whole region, and when we need some unit of equipment, and then it means that this supplier, a very reliable and a good one, can be busy or can be lacking it at the moment. That's why geography is very wide, and most of producers produce equipment for our projects, both of domestic and foreign origin. That's why to divide how many percent of what, and that was not the topic I wanted to speak, but maybe it's interesting to see. To your mind, what organization, project design organizations meet your demand? Can you make a range list to make such a range list, such a checklist? It's very complicated to distinguish in between the design institutions. All of them are not very young. I mean only for refinery. And this is the colossal archives and knowledge and bulk of information they have. And they have rich experience, but every organization has its own application of such data. But those institutes which cooperated close with some foreign licensees are more flexible, more enhanced, more advanced. And safety norms is an issue. How do you appreciate that these safety norms in a refinery? They should meet requirements. But our Russian norms are more rigid. Yes, this is true, but this all brings the Russian rigid norms of safety makes our projects more expensive. Yes, that's a special topic of discussion. We all know that there are norms, but to pray for such norms straightforward, that's not the correct way as well. We discussed much about it. Applying foreign norms, we can reduce metal application of the project, site HR resources at refineries. We can reduce much. Yes, this is the question of discussion.
Это не вопрос одной минуты.
That's not a 1 minute talk.
Это не по моему хотению не перейти на эти нормы.
But that's not an easy way to move directly to such European norms. We should understand where we are lagging behind, where we are forward. European action and one project of the Russian Institute. I compared these two projects, a foreign one and a Russian one, and that's not a competitive one as for the Russian, because 30% metal capacity of the project of the Russian one is higher. Metal input is less by some foreign projects, but that one foreign project was very major. And when they say that Mexican Gulf prices differ greatly from the Russian, that's the issue to discuss.